second grade, welcome back. We are talking today about the 5th 6 weeks. I want to get started by going over something with you real quickly before we get started. First thing I want to talk about is that you have a CBA coming up in April for second grade. This will be your first one of the year. It is something that we're hoping that you will let the students read to themselves. I know we want to help them out by helping them read, but they're going to have to do it in 3rd grade. So if you don't mind, we'd really like you to let them read it themselves. But also, I want to go over where you can find out what's going to be on that CBA. So right here, I'm in the scope and sequence portion of Eduphoria. If you go into this, you'll see right here under yearly content documents, I've added a new section called CBA Curriculum Blueprint. You'll click right here on April 2013. You'll double click. It'll open for you, and here you will have every TEK that I'm talking about, the number of items, the 6 weeks taught, and the unit so that you can find it. Every single one of these test questions comes directly from the clarifying documents. So a great idea, and one that other people in other grade levels are doing, is they're taking this and double checking with the kids to make sure that they understand the information on that curriculum clarifying document. That is the key to doing well on your CBAs. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you. Okay, now that we've done that, let's get back to the 5th 6 weeks. So your 5th 6 weeks, you have 2 units that you're looking at. So we're going to start by going into your unit documents. This is how I always start off, going to your unit overview, and I always look first at the suggested pacing guide. Now, your Unit 8 is about economics. So, this is really important. You only have 2 TEKs. One is explain how work provides income to purchase goods and services. That's 2.9a. And then explain the choices people in the U.S. free enterprise system can make about earning, spending, and saving money and where to live and work. So, let's go into those standards. Where we started was, we really want to make sure that students should be able to explain that people work to earn money and that this is known as income, that people use this money to purchase goods and services, and students should be able to give examples of both goods and services that their family purchases. I am putting here in the context exactly what you want the students to know. My sample assessment that I gave you was one that students could write a paragraph describing at least 2 ways that he or she can earn money and what he or she would spend their money on. They could complete a graphic organizer comparing at least 3 different goods and services that can be purchased. And then I had the students complete the following close activity because you want to build up their ability to use this verbiage. It's very important that they use this language. I work in order to earn income. Then I use the money earned to purchase goods and services. For example, I might purchase and then they can give an example of that. This would be a great way to start them on that activity, and then later have them actually write in a sentence, what is a good, a service, what is income? They need to be able to do that. Over here, you will see that we have attached for you an economics vocabulary PowerPoint. I think this is something that you will see that you can use. Drag it right over here. It talks about income, goods, services, goes into a tax, a factory, trade, transportation, all of these things. So this might barter. This might be something that you might want to look at. In addition to that, I have a lesson here, 2 lessons, goods and services and delivering those goods. These come from the Econ Ed link. I love this website, so please take a look at it. I think you'll like it too. Now let's go to 2.9b. They need to explain the choices people in the U.S. free enterprise system can make about earning, spending, and saving money and where to live and work. It is very important that students understand the word free enterprise system. And I have in here in the context, students should discuss the importance of saving money and understand that deciding where to live is sometimes dependent upon where people work. So I have several sample assessment items. 1, In a graphic organizer, describe various types of housing, home, apartment, etc. In a paragraph, explain the relationship between working and paying for the housing. Explain at least 2 reasons in complete sentences why it's important to earn money. They have to understand that we are given the opportunity to have the jobs that we go after. In addition to that, depending on what your job is, depends on where you're going to work, depends on what you can afford to eat, that all of that comes into play. I had something that said also they could create a picture of something you'd like to save for and explain the choices you must make to save for this item. I have here a question. Yesterday I decided to eat Taco Bell instead of McDonald's. I have the choice of where I want to spend my money because the United States is a free enterprise system. I'm going to tell you right now, that could show up on a CBA. Please make sure they understand that because we have choices, that's what makes us part of the free enterprise system. If we were to live in another country, they might not have that type of opportunity. And then why would it be important to make sure your job is somewhat close to where you live? And the answer is so you can easily make it to work on time. They should understand that where you're not going to get a job and then work 3 hours away. Some people do that, but it would be, the money would have to be right. They need to understand why it would be better to be where they are. Now, the next time that you do this, so this is going to be your broad overview of economics. Then you're going into economics in even more detail because you're talking about producers and consumers. So let's go to that next 5th 6 weeks. You have an entire economics 6 weeks. I have it here broken down into 10 days for producers and consumers, and I grouped these teaks together. And then I have development of a product is the 2.10c and 5 days for that. So let's look at your standards. I have 2.3a, 2.10a, 2.10b, and 2.13b all grouped together. So let's start with 2.3a. And talks about using various reference materials. So what we had was an opportunity for you where you could look in 3 different sources, the newspaper, a textbook, website, and have students explain in complete sentences examples of producers and consumers. To distinguish between producing and consuming, they have to contrast this. So they need to know the difference. So the student will compare producers and consumers with a Venn diagram and justify which one they think is more important and why in complete sentences. Here I have an example. A blank is someone who makes or grows something. Then I have I love to eat apples. In fact, every day I come home and eat an apple. I am a consumer. I have here identify ways in which people are both producers and consumers. One of our ideas was that you might want to create a collage with at least 3 images that represent both producers and consumers and explain why each is important. And how is this person who works at a bread factory both a consumer and a producer? So it'd be important to know that sometimes we work at jobs where we are a producer, but when we get home, we're still a consumer. So we are a little bit of both. Even as a teacher, you produce a service to someone, but then you also consume. Now here, the person that we talk about is Abigail Adams, but we're talking about Abigail Adams not within her biography, but an example of how she was a producer and consumer. So you're kind of talking about her biography, but talking about the producing, consuming piece of her. Not that she wrote letters to her husband, not that she was this, but what you need to know is that Abigail Adams was the wife of John Adams, and that while he was away, she managed the family farm. And this is an example of her as a producer. So you'd want to explain to them the key things about Abigail Adams is that she really worked on the farm, she kept it running, she was a woman who, for her time, really went out of her way to try to produce things and take care of things. But at the same time, every night Abigail Adams sat down and ate dinner with her family. This would be an example of a consumer. So you want to talk about Abigail Adams as she was this time, in this great time of need when her husband was needed as we were founding the United States. She was left to pick up the pieces, and this is what a woman might have done at this time as both a producer and a consumer, and how rare it was that she was able to do that. In addition to that, I know y'all are always looking for more resources for the people that we talk about. So I've gone ahead and I've included a website for you here called abigailadams.org, and you can go to that to find some more information. Now let's look at this last one that you're going to pop up here. This is going to be examine the development of a product from natural resources to a finished product. From a natural resource to a finished product. So you need to discuss how a crop is developed from a natural resource into a finished product at a factory. So some sample assessment was create a story from a crop's point of view about how it moves from the farm to the dinner table. You could use your page 120 on your textbook to help guide this discussion. Have students create a graphic organizer based on the farm to table activity on page 120. And here I have an example for you. So you can spend several days on how would this happen? How do things go from the farm to your dinner table? And you could talk about different items. But it's so that they understand that we start off with these natural resources, such as soil, and then we plant seeds in the soil, and from there it grows up, and we have water natural resources and all of that. So we're kind of tying all of our information through the year about natural resources and what we know about economics to talk about from your home, from the crops to the dinner table. As always, second grade, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help in any way. I wish you best of luck. I know you're going to have a terrific fifth 6 weeks. Thank you for all you do.